Hi, this is Adammichlaw with Wanderings. Today's video is going to be called Facing Your Demons. So this comic in The Onion says, alcoholics' plan for turning life around doesn't involve getting sober. And it basically talks about how this guy, while being drunk at a bar, talks about all the great things he's going to do to change his life, and then how he ends up being passed out in the end, and nothing ever changes. I'm filming this video today due to something that happened with a friend who became a client, always a bad idea in the first place, that I dealt with a few months ago. And I taped this video right after this. I was shocked and blown away by the amount of lies and deception this person was making to themselves, me as a therapist, and his family. I'm not going to get into all the details, obviously, for privacy concerns, but this person had a large family living in a traditional religious way. He was separated from his family, lost his job, and was living at the marital home, which the owner of the home was trying to get him kicked out of the place. His wife and family were living in a shelter, all the children, and this person was giving her a couple $100s a month. He still had some sort of small job in order to maintain. And what was shocking to me was this person was using drugs while on my therapy call, which had never happened to me before. Again, I'm not against the healthy use of legal substances, but this person's use was going far beyond that. And he would not give his wife and kids any more money. She was living in a shelter, and he wanted me to convince her to get back with him without him doing any work and acknowledgement about his substance abuse problem, which was very prevalent. In addition, during this call, he asked me if I wanted to go down to Mexico with him on a fabulous beach trip in the middle of the winter. And later on, I found out I saw him on a pilgrimage site from a holy site overseas, praying and everything like that, and receiving messages. Obviously, he had to spend $2,000 or $3,000 to go on this trip for air flight and accommodations. Yet, he was only giving his wife a couple $100s a month, and in engaging in everyday multiple times of drug use, marijuana in this case, and trying to tell me that if people would only talk to her to convince her, or if only he prayed, and that people should pray that their marriage gets together. And in this very frustrating meeting, which I assure you was the last time I spoke to him, of course he didn't pay me for that meeting either, in content here with everything else that was going on, was that this illusion that if by praying and praying and praying, God is going to fix things and God is going to make a miracle. Now I know for addictions and for 12 steps, which I think is a good process, there is definitely an element of believing in a higher power and believing in the ability that God can step in to help, but to help the person overcome their addictions, not to have God step in to convince the family to get back together without this person coming in touch with his inner demons. I just thought it was totally ridiculous and totally hypocritical that this person want to go on a Mexico trip or even go on a religious pilgrimage or ask to pray when he wouldn't be the prayer himself. He wouldn't make the effort necessary to change his life. Of course, I brought this up with him, and this is why him and I never spoke again, because he didn't want me to acknowledge the fact that he has an addiction. So this video today, I'm going to speak a little bit about addictions. I have found among my male clients, particularly the ones with an absent, weak, or abusive father figure, that addictions is the number one way that they escape. Women have their own ways of escaping, but I have met countless clients with drug addictions, alcohol addictions, video game addictions, sexual addictions, everything you name it. And until the person gets actual help on that issue, they will have no chance whatsoever of fixing the other problems which are in their life: marriage, financial, spiritual, etc. It may sound like I don't have mercy on these people. I do. But I don't have mercy on somebody who isn't willing to be honest. It's a process to go forward to get the help, but the person needs to be honest where they're at, realizing that maybe they're not going to be fixed in one day, but to at least admit that they need help. That's a start. And any relationship with a therapist, a friend, and of course a spouse, for it to work, has got to be based on honesty. Honesty. That's it. But the thing is, most addicts even lie to themselves. We'll explore this topic today in this video, and I'll tell you about some of my personal experiences as well. Part of my work with clients is the coaching to help them move forward with their goals in their life. But oftentimes, people are not in touch with what the actual problems are, or they're so deeply entrenched in them that they can't really get past square one. Of course, what I'm mostly talking about here is addictions. So I see many clients, and the clients that I love to see are the clients who realize their problems and are ready to make the changes that are necessary to move forward, and then we can go forward with that. However, sometimes a person is so entrenched with a way of thinking, oftentimes alcoholism, drugs, or any other type of addiction, that they can't even get to square one. In general, if someone comes to me with addiction problems, I do not see them until they get that help that they need. When I was younger, I had a lot of very cool friends. A lot of them were what we call chillers. They like to have fun, they like to party. So it's interesting though, now being in my mid-40s, seeing what has become of that crew of guys that I was friends with. And the interesting thing is, I can honestly say with my core group of friends, let's say 5 or 6 guys who were hardcore partiers, hardcore chillers, every single one of them is in a disaster right now. What's cool and fun when you're in your 20s and stuff like that doesn't look so cool later when the person's married and has kids and starts moving towards their midlife crisis time. That's when things start getting disastrous. The financial, emotional, marital burdens, children burdens add up, and also the physical toll on our bodies build up. And when a person's at that mid-age point, at that point, if someone hasn't done the necessary work on themselves, they're going to find themselves in a disastrous situation. That's why the highest rate of suicide in the world is between men aged 45 and 60. Because at that point, they realize they can't start over again. They can't rebuild their body, their life, their finances. And sometimes they make a long-term solution to a short-term problem, and they haven't done the work. Again, the clients that I like to work with, the best ones are the ones who've already gone through that rigid analysis of themselves in order to see what they need to do to change. But if someone's still holding on to a serious addiction, and they're still battling those demons, we really can't get to square one. There's some people, I've been talking to them about this for many years, and they just can't get there. So among my friends, I have one friend who's dead from drugs, another friend who basically is an alcoholic and has multiple alcohol-related conditions, another friend who became such a raging alcoholic that not only did he get divorced, but he is extremely abusive and abrasive, and in a fantasy world doesn't believe he's an alcoholic, destroys everything he touches, pushes away everyone from around him. And when I was younger, again, these guys were my friends, but as I've gotten older, I really don't have time for people in my life who are basically energy suckers and not givers. If you get older, if you've become mature, you don't really give time anymore for people who are just draining your energy. So to get back to that client again, who I spoke about at the beginning of the video and who was the inspiration for this video, who is using drugs but not supporting his wife, wanting to fix the problem by going around and doing everything else other than approaching the actual issue itself, which is the addiction. I'm going to add a few more details here about how that process went. So an old friend of mine contacted me recently. He is now separated from his wife and has a lot of kids. And when I was talking to him in a session, he was smoking weed in front of me. And we were talking about the problems that he has and what he needs to do. He basically lost his main job, his place to live. His wife and kids live somewhere else now, and she's not going to get back together until he fixes himself. Now, she wants to talk to the therapist, that being me. So basically what this person was doing was the addiction was lying to him so much to the point that he wasn't able to look at the root of his problem, which was drug and sex addiction. Until he gets a handle on those demons, he can't even really start. So this client had 2 ways of what I call wishful thinking. Robert Ringer, in the book Winning Through Intimidation, speaks about wishful thinking versus reality thinking. Wishful thinking is basically hoping and wanting and praying for change to happen. Reality thinking is actually making those changes, becoming those changes. And though, of course, as a religious person, I do believe in the power of prayer, that's only when it's tempered and connected with the self-improvement that a person needs to make in order to go. You can't just say that you pray that things are going to get better. Sometimes that is your only method. If someone's really sick and there's nothing they can do, prayer is your only method, and maybe that's what God wants from you at that moment. But if there's a chance for you to be that prayer, and need to feel a I am prayer, as David says in the Psalms, if you could be that prayer, if you could make that self-improvement, why is God going to just make everything magically work when you yourself are showing that you aren't really worthy or care that much about making that change in your life? You have to make that change, and you have to be realistic and get to square one. Till you faced and battled those demons, you're not going to get to square one. This person wanted to send an important person in the community to his wife to talk to her. And this is what I basically said about using this triangulation method. Someone, I said, whether you hand your wife an envelope with $0 in it, or this agent, this lady who you're sending to tell your wife that you want to get back together is handing her an envelope with $0. Either way, she's still getting $0. Meaning is you have to increase your spiritual, emotional, and relationship value. There is no easy way. You have to do the work. You have to do the work to become the person that you're going to be and get out of this wishful thinking and get to reality thinking. If you're drinking and using drugs, playing video games, addicted to sex, if you're doing any of these behaviors, addicted to work, anything which you're doing which is keeping you from being in touch with yourself, with your family, then you've got to do that first. Then we could start the work. But we're not even on the same page yet if we're still battling with those demons. So if that's the case, you need to be honest and make a serious inventory of yourself and move forward. And it's not easy. I've seen it, but I'm telling you, the years add up. And as a person gets older, there's just not time anymore. And they really only move in one direction. I have not seen a single friend be able to make it through this time period of mid-age crisis while still holding on to addictions and escape unscathed at the end. Reality thinking. Couple that with prayer, meditation, whatever floats your boat. But you've got to make the changes. You've got to battle those demons. Otherwise, I'm sorry to say, there's no hope. This is Adammichlaw with Wanderings. Thank you very much. Have a great day.